Greetings, sacred beings. Welcome to Sacred HERstory podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Natasia. And today, for our Sacred HERstory guest speaker, we have Dusya Lyubovskaya.
Lyubovskaya.
Oh my goodness. I love your last name. I'm like, oh, it's challenging me. Welcome, Dusya. How are you?
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm really honored and happy to be here.
Same here. And let me just share a little bit about Dusya. You guys, she's from Boston and she's sees herself simply as a healer. So let's dive into this, Dacia. Like, you're a healer. So, was this something that you've always known in your heart since you were a child? Or was this something that just kind of came up as, as you grew wiser, I should say?
Right. I never thought I was a eater, honestly. I
Mm,
I want to say that since I was a child, I understood medicine. Like I understood general medicine because my late mother was in the medical field and we had relatives who were in the medical field. And so I would listen to stories like, oh, your uncle did X, Y, and Z, your uncle was an eye doctor and how they were treating others and how they treated like all this medical stuff. And also I would hear stories about holistic medicine.
mm,
I now would hear stories how my mother would be treated when she had some kind of illness when she was a child. And but honestly, I did not for me the holistic medicine, like herbal medicine and things like that. For me, that was like okay, that was my family did that. Okay, I accept that. But to me, I paid more attention to actual I what I call actual medicine, like modern medicine.
mm,
And I have to say, I understood medicine before I was even old enough to understand medicine. Because
mm,
when I want to say 5, 6 years old, I was feeling some pain in my body, which I know now is somatic pain. And
mm,
I asked my mother to check because she was in the medical field, and she said she couldn't find anything, which is fair. And although we didn't go any further with exam like that, we didn't go to any specific doctor to find out what was going on. I already knew that if she could not find it, no other doctor would be able to find it.
oh, wow.
And just now, since half a year, I know it's called somatic pain. Like when you're under a lot of stress, uh, because your environment and so forth, you have pain in your arm or somewhere, and it just comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make sense, but it comes out of nowhere. And then when I started school again, I honestly didn't know what I wanted to be. Like I had friends of my family say, "You're going to be a lawyer," because I would answer a question. I would just answer a question. They say, "You're going to be a lawyer," or I just would say something like, "Oh, she's going to be a doctor." I didn't know. I just thought maybe I should just tell them what they want to hear. I didn't know.
Right.
And I was, yeah, it was in second or third grade. I looked through a microscope. I was the most excited child you've ever seen in your life. I was so excited. I was screaming from the top of my lungs. Everybody thought I was crazy. And when I got home, I was bragging about, oh my God, I did this. We looked at leaves. Like, literally, all I did was look at the leaf under a microscope. And I'm excited. And after that, I was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be in science.
Mm,
So I did a lot of laboratory work in school, and then decided I wanted to study research. I didn't know what I wanted to study, but I wanted to go into research. However, because my father got sick, my late father, he got sick, he got seriously sick around when I was in high school.
mm,
I was an only child, so I already knew I want to say from when I was under 13 years old that I would be the breadwinner when I'm a grown up. And so because of that, I realized I can go to university to study science, but I'm going to have to work in the medical field to be the breadwinner. And so then my father managed to have a friend at MGH, and this friend let me work as a nursing aide, and this was like 1999. That was like when the medical field was just starting to change,
mm,
and I was working part time, and I was able to go to Harvard University to study medical sciences as well. So I thought I'm kind of multitasking here. I'm taking classes and I'm learning hands-on experience.
mhm,
I would like I would work with different patients, but the thing was, I noticed something was off. Like there were, I every time when I was working with cancer patients or geriatric or whatever issue there was, I always thought, okay, there's something there should be something more. And that's when I started realizing, okay, maybe the holistic part that I learned about as a child was not so was not so wrong. Like maybe that could have
Mhm.
meant it. And I just started remembering what I was taught as a child, and there was some other things that I looked into. But when I would talk to the doctor, like even when I would climb the ladder of the medical field, I would talk to my colleagues, and they would look at me like I had two heads. So like, okay, that's fine. And that went on till 2014. So before that, my father died, and that was the whole other thing. And my mother died in 2014, and that's when everything started for me coming together.
Mm.
Because after her passing, I had a friend of a friend who he was owner to my father, and he was a boyfriend of a friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. She was, and there was a friend of mine who was like a mentor, and and I also consider her like an honorary mother.
Mm.
Uh, just treat me like a daughter. And this guy, he was old enough to my father, and he said, I want to take care, like I want to be like a father for you. And he said, yeah, I know I'm too old to adopt you. I'm not going to do that. I respect your mother, and I just want to be there for you. And so I agreed to that because I respected him, and because my father was a 5 minute father. And I want to know what it's like to have a father, even though he was not my blood and so forth. But I want to know what would a healthy quote unquote father do? And
Mm.
so we got trips and so forth. And he had a girlfriend who was very intuitive, and
Mm.
initially for him it was creepy. All the stuff, all this intuitive stuff was creepy, but he loved her. And so I would talk to her every now and then. And the real deal happened was when his girlfriend was taken to the hospital to Boston Medical, and I was living just 2 streets away from that place. And I was walking with my now ex, if you will. And this guy, we were just talking. I was just done with him, and I mean, I just lost my mother, and I mean, it was a while ago, but like I couldn't listen to it. And then I get this message from my honorary father that she's in the hospital, and I just had the strong feeling that I have to go there
Mm.
hospital. And so instead of going home, I went straight to the hospital, and I ran to my honorary father, and he said, okay, let's take the elevator. He didn't even ask any like, how'd you get here, blah, blah, blah. We just went up, and I met her entire family, and they were all healers. And it was just amazing. Like got to know them. They instantly treated me like I was one of them. And we would have all these conversation about ancient Egypt, about the culture, about the healing modality. And for me, it felt to me normal. It felt me like, yeah, sure, of course we're talking about this.
Yeah.
And there's so many things happen. And I would ask them questions. I would listen to them. For me, it was like finally I was listening to people who made sense to me. And sadly, this time with them together, I mean, we became friends, Facebook and so forth. But the thing that happened, unfortunately, after a month or so, his girlfriend died, and
Mm.
they wanted to be part of my life, and I wanted to be part of their life. But the thing was, I was living in Boston, and they were living in New Hampshire, and I realized I can visit him, but visiting them separately would be difficult because he did not respect their thinking, their belief. He's not respect that. They didn't have a problem with him. They would say, okay, he doesn't believe in this stuff. That's fine. I mean, he was the boyfriend of I'm not going to mention her name, but
Mm.
he that. And I realized I want to stay connected to them, but I realized at that same time I had to find something in Boston.
Mm.
And so I was on Facebook, and also, I kept thinking my mother's words, it's time for you to be you, to find out who you are.
Mm.
And because before my mother died, it was me, I was just focusing on, I mean, I was still studying, but I would just take leave from school from university, and I was focused on taking care of my mother and finding a husband who was compatible for her, like in terms of what if I want to get married, it should be somebody who she will approve of. Like I was just thinking how to make her happy again because she didn't want to get married anymore after my father, and I said, okay, now it's my turn. But after that, I just kept sensing she wanted me to find out who I am. And somehow her dying was like her say, I'm done now. My time is done. Here, open the door and discover yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel goosebumps right now talking about it. And then I saw this beautiful, beautiful picture on Facebook of the Modern Mystery School. And although it doesn't seem anything significant about it, but I saw a woman with a sword over, like there was this a guy who's a knight and he's bending over in respect and she's had a sword on the shoulder, and that spoke to me instantly. I cannot explain why, but that just like, okay, I have to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there, I went to a meditation session, and oh my gosh, the energy was beautiful. It was, I have no words. It's like I was finally getting all the answers I ever wanted to know as a child. Because I knew I was different. I knew that I had a different way of thinking about the world. I remembered how I was asking a million questions. My mother didn't know how to answer them, and my late grandmother, she would have wanted to answer them if she was still around when I started asking the questions, but nobody was there. And if I tried to ask my father questions, he acted like I had two heads. So like, okay, that's fine. And I just accepted while I was growing up. I have questions that don't make sense to me. I just like, okay, I'm just being Dusya. That's Dusya thing, Dusya disorder, as they called it. But when I went to the Modern Mystery School and attended the first meditation session, it was like all this knowledge, like the whole library of knowledge came. And even though he's now my meditation guy, but even though he was not talking about exactly what specific what I was asking throughout my life, but he was just sharing all this information like they do at meditation sessions, and just like bing, 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 like the whole time I was just like I was like I was starving, just taking in like food, and like I was starving for years and finally getting the food that I needed.
Yeah.
After that, I said, I'm going to come back here. The energy was amazing. And I decided, okay, I'm going to come to every meditation session possible. And I would go there and I would feel more aha moments. And oh my gosh, there was just so much knowledge that like so many times, before that, when my mother was alive, I watched every movie with Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
connected to Harry Potter in a way. And I thought, well, I'm a girl, but I feel connected to him. Like I feel connected to the Howard's school. And when I listened to him, it was like I was in the school that Harry Potter went to. That's why, like, my God, this is. I felt like Harry Potter finally went to the school where everybody sees him, and she's like, yes, 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 you did. You belong here.
That's
And
wonderful.
then there was a time when he's saying, okay, today, or he said, okay, on these certain days, we're gonna offer Reiki sessions. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it. And interestingly, I want to mention that I had no idea what Reiki is. Okay, I never heard of Reiki. However, when my mother was dying, she had cancer, and her cancer was discovered in a terminal. She was in terminal stage, and when she was in the hospital, I decided for no good reason whatsoever, I would just lay my hands on her head. I didn't know what I was doing. It just something in me just do it. My hands are not gonna hurt her. Not gonna
Intuition.
kill her. And I just put my hands on her head. She didn't know what I was doing, which was fine. But she was just sitting there, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
just held my hands on her head for as long as it felt right. And besides, the interesting part was she stayed a month longer alive than the doctors planned for her, which I thought, okay. And it kind of felt like it was related to what I did.
Yeah.
Also, besides that I was with her when she died. And I was able to bring her to my place. I was living in a roommate situation. and I had some issues with the landlords, but I decided at first I was worried about what to do because my mother needed me. I the only thing she had, and I thought I don't give a I don't give a damn. I'm not gonna use any like Christian word, but I don't give a damn what anybody says. I don't care about my roommate anymore. I don't care about the landlord. They want to call the police on me. Fine. I'm gonna bring my mother here so I could take care of her because she's dying, and I just felt like I had to do it.
Yeah.
And so I organized, like she was already getting hospice care, and I organized everything that was necessary. And she already lost her, I mean, the cancer went into her brain, so she didn't understand what was going on. And I just decided, I'm just going to bring her to my home. The landlord doesn't like it. Too bad. Like, I was determined.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was in my bed with me. And I remember when she died, like before that, she kept saying that she saw my father and she didn't want to go because of him. And I did not really understand all of this stuff, but I would just say, okay, you don't want to go, just don't go. I didn't think about, I didn't like, I guess some people think, oh my God, they're seeing people like they're crazy. I'm like, I was taking her serious. I don't care if he actually was, my father was there or not, but she didn't want to go with him. And I just said, you don't want to go with him, fight him, kick him. Who cares? Like, this
Mm.
is good. And I remember this so well. It was on a Saturday morning. It was in August, mid-August, Saturday morning, and I woke up for no apparent reason, and I heard her take her last breath. And that's when just everything started for me. But because I laid my hands on her head, I felt like that was the reason why she was longer with me.
Mhm.
Because go to whatever process she needed because she had to be with me when it happens. And I know, and it feels like this is part of the shamanic journey for me personally.
Mhm.
Um, and then after I did the Mother Mystery School, I learned Reiki. It was a 2 day intensive day, like Saturday, Sunday. I learned everything possible about Reiki. And again, so many things start happening, so many experiences, so many epiphanies start happening. And I just kept thinking about everything that my mother told me, everything that my grandmother used to tell me about how what they did when they were sick. I mean, they were rarely sick, honestly, which is surprising. It's just like, okay, what do you do if you have a toothache, or what do you do when you have it? My mother was the first generation in my family to get sick,
Mm.
and most of my mother's family, they surprised they were healthy. The doctors hated them for that. That's all that's the story. Yeah, the doctor. I remember hearing stories like the doctor apparently said, "I'm only here when somebody expect when a child is being born. Like, how dare you?" He was joking about it, but yeah, like that was all. But they knew all the healing model, like what kind of tea to drink if you're having it, or what kind of stuff
Mhm.
to choose. And so after I learned Reiki, I was working with patients. I mean, not a patient, but a client. I was still in the medical field, and I was still studying medical sciences. I realized Reiki is where I belong. Like I have to do this and maybe learn something more. And so I would continue going to Mother Mystery School. I would continue connecting, continue learning more. And there was some other session like about shamanic wisdom. And I would take all of that in, like a hungry child has not eaten in days. And then some things happened in my life where I thought, okay, I can't go to Mother Mystery School, not because of the school itself or my meditation God, but just I got over because there were things happening in my life where I thought, okay, I have to take a break from everything. But then I would go back and I would discover there were online classes for like angel healing, shamanic healing, and all that stuff. And I decided I'm going to take that course. I'm going to take all the classes that exist. And when I got to the shamanic part, oh my God, that's my best experience. Oh my God, it was so intense. I was learning a lot about healing model, how they connect with their ancestors. And again, I kept thinking about my family, and it was so intense. And I would do the attunement. I would learn about the healing modalities, and I would do this on my client and on myself. And oh my gosh, never mind it was intense, but I was able to connect with the energy of my clients and
Mhm.
heal them, and learning that cancer, like all the ailments you have, they're energetic. Like we're all in,
Mhm.
and I always understood that. I always believed that. And
Mhm.
we're connected to the trees, we're connected to the water. And never mind, I love water like nobody's business. I'm not kidding you.
You know,
Like,
you're touching so many things. Like I'm like, I could have you keep talking. You could talk the whole time,
right,
because you shared so many beautiful things in, you know, in the past, I don't know how many minutes. But I just wanted to kind of backtrack and bring us forward because now you're getting into the shamanic journey and everything
yeah,
like that, which I love this. I love everything you're sharing, but also I want to acknowledge your story of wow, how incredible that is to realize, like, we don't realize how powerful we are with setting that intention, just placing hands on one another,
yeah,
that power of touch, right? With the loving intention of like,
yeah,
oh gosh, I love you, mom, and you're
yeah,
placing it on her head. And here you were like, if I didn't do it, and
yeah,
there's so much beauty in everything you shared because you followed your intuition all through your walks, being an only child. And, you shared some insights about your father with me, and just, stepping up, knowing that, I'm going to need to take care of my family. And you did that. And here your mom, you were there with your mom to her
mhm,
last breath, and after doing so, here
mhm,
you go on this journey of who is Dusya?
mhm.
Who am I,
Yeah,
right? And found this modern mystery school,
yeah,
learn Reiki,
mhm,
and it's so beautiful because it's like in this meditation, like I love how you shared the meditation and how it's like, whew, everything you already know, you feel it, like
yeah,
without understanding, our body already knows, and everything, the truth of like we are all energy.
mhm,
Like here I was telling you how I was sick, but really it was the stress that is causing me to be sick,
mhm,
where it's like, yeah, there's so much going around, and finally here,
mhm,
my body needed rest. I knew that,
mhm.
but I wasn't listening because there were so many other things that needed to be done. And this is where we have to come back to listening to our bodies, being
Yeah,
in alignment. So here we are with you talking about the shamanic journey, shamanic attunement and all that. Please continue. Like,
sure.
so here you are, realizing we're all energy, we're all
Yeah,
connected, we're connected to the
mhm,
tree, we're connected to the grass, we're
yeah,
connected to, just through breath, right?
yeah. And I did a lot of healing. I did a lot of healing modalities, like angel healing, Reiki, advanced Reiki. Like I did the whole shebang, if you will.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn all of that so that I could help each client individual. Like if somebody who's more attuned to shamanic, they can get shamanic. They are more attuned to angel healing, they can do angel. And so I would try different things on myself as well. And also, interestingly, I have a friend who did a shamanic retreat, who went to a retreat like in Peru like years ago. And he would talk about his experience, which also was so profound. And when I was listening to his podcast, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that is like I have no words. And I even shared with my sister the friend, and she was saying, "Wow, that is mind blowing." Like they didn't even like it was so intense. They didn't know how to describe it. And to me, interestingly, I would talk to some people who did the shamanic training, who would actually go to retreats, and I would just ask them just out of curiosity, like what was that experience for you like? And and I remember this woman, she probably was old enough to be my mother, and she would say, "You know what? You should not do shamanic." And I mean, I didn't tell her that I already got shamanic training,
Yeah.
but I would ask her like, "Okay, what do you mean? Why?" And she said, "You know what? You're too pure for shamanic." Like,
Mm.
okay. I mean, I'm open to people's opinion. I mean, I've heard all kinds of things. Like people make assumptions about me, whatever. I've been used to it since my childhood because I always someone would underestimate me or whatever. And I respected her. Like I didn't say I agree with her. I didn't say I don't agree with her. I just said, okay, that's her opinion on me. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I've been doing healing now since 2014, literally. And recently I was working with a client who I'm not going to go into too many details, but was visiting in the indigenous population in some kind of place where she was volunteering. And we talked about it. And when I was in her energy, I was immediately drawn into the energy of the shamanic. Like there was like I could feel the shamanic priest trying to connect with me. It
Mm,
was it was like he was right there in front of me and saying, come here, come here. I want
mm,
to talk to you. And you know what? I I don't get easily scared, honestly. I went through so many crazy things in my life. I thought,
mm,
okay, this is a shamanic priest. I know he doesn't want to harm me. I know that. And so I said, okay, tell me what do you want? I telepathically said, what do you want? Share with me. Share with me what you want for my clients. Share with me what you want to tell me.
mm,
And he started doing healing on me. He started doing healing on my client. And then 2 hours afterwards, he said, in his own way, he said, I'm not done with you.
mm,
And I was just sitting there and I'm like, okay, what's going to happen now? And it was just dropping like, I don't know, on me. Like it was like dropping like rain or whatever. I don't care what you want to call it.
mm,
I was called the one who was walking the unaccepted path. I learned about reptiles. I learned about like he was giving all these words, and I was just taking that in. And he was showing me all the traumatic experience I had when I was a child and explaining why that happened. And honestly, I was crying like I the last time I cried like this, I don't know. I don't even care. But everything he explained to me, it made so much sense. And I had to go somewhere because he was not wanting to explain to me the words. He just wanted me to take it in. He just wanted me to embrace it, which I was doing. But I'm somebody who wants to understand, okay, what does that word mean? What does that mean? So I could easily connect with it. So I could understand, oh, that's it. And then I could say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Walking the path of the unaccepted. That so relates to me because I was misunderstood as a child. Besides, I had amazing grades in school, but there was always somebody said, "Oh, she doesn't. She's just pretending." Blah blah blah. And even though my mother would try to defend me and say, she's not pretending. She can read. I started reading when I was 4 years old. Okay, in my family, you start learning to read when you're 4 years old. But with me, my mother started teaching me how to read, and I started reading like I was already a champion. And said, okay, I'm done here. like, and there was so many situations where I would want to play with children, and they're like, and I'm like, what did I do? Like, what happened? What did I do? And the shamanic priest was explaining, you have a light around you that people do not understand. And when you're around children, they did not understand that light. So like some of them understood that. There were very few who were like wanted to play with me because they were like, wow, I don't know what was going on with her, but I want to be around that. And then there were other people who did not understand. He would explain to me, people are fearful of what they don't understand. And he explained to me that all the horrible things my father did was my first exposure to evilness in the world.
mm,
My mother was a very loving woman. She was like an angel, literally. She taught me everything about love, compassion. I mean, besides my grandmother, she, her, her and my grandmother's sense was, you don't judge people. You don't know who they are. You don't know where they're from. You don't know what happened to them. You never judge them. And my grandmother did the same with my father. He acted like a horrible person, or something was off about him when they first met him, but they said, we're not going to judge him. Maybe he went through a trauma. Maybe something happened to him. We won't judge him. Of
mm,
course, he he kicked them, metaphorically speaking, but that's a whole other story. But I realized he represented practically almost all evil that this world has. And I did not really understand it. I mean, I did understand it apparently because according to my mother, I remember when I was 4 years old, he did something horrible to my mother. And I'm not going to go into graphics here, out of respect for everybody. But my mother, I remember very well what he did. And I remember snuggling up with my mother. She was in a room on the bed. It was dark, and I was snuggling up to her. And many years later, she would tell me, Dusya, You were too young to understand what you were doing was wrong, but you did understand what you did was wrong. And there were many moments where my mother said, I don't know how you did it, but you knew that this is wrong. Whatever the situation was, she said, you know it's wrong. You're too young to understand, but you understood.
Hmm.
And I, for me, it was like, I didn't really think about it, honestly.
Yeah.
But when the shamanic priest was just showing me all these horrible experiences I remembered, it was like he said, this was your teaching moment. This is teaching you for the cruelty of this world. So that everything you experience now, all the challenges for you, this is like kindergarten. I mean, that's not what the word he used, but it was like his way of saying your father was supposed to show you the cruelty, the true cruelty of the world. So you would not be as fearful when you see now what happened. And I just couldn't stop crying because it felt so true to me. It felt so true.
Wow. That's a profound experience with your guide.
Mm,
That's wow. And to take you through all that loops and to come
yeah,
back and realize like, oh, like this full understanding
yeah,
of what you went through.
yeah. And I had to agree with him because I remember when I started working, or even after I moved around after my father's death, and I started working in a different place. And at first there was a little bit of fear in me. I was thinking, okay, what if I don't get along with the patient or things like that? And then there was something in me that said, nobody can be worse than your father. Like, that was my thinking. And I thought, okay, if I can handle my father, I can handle anybody. And that's how I
Yeah,
started.
and you still
And
have the compassion to take care of your father too. You know.
yeah, I I know. I I can't even explain that to you, honestly. Because my mother, I remember I saw him one last time when before he died. Because and I told my mother, I have to see him. I know what he did to me and you, but I have because he's my father. I have to. And my mother, I want to say she kind of admired it. I mean, not the environment, like, oh my God, he's so amazing. More like I think it was more like an offer, like you're able to love him despite everything. And I have to say, yes, I loved him because he was my father. Okay. When I was growing up, I thought he was God because because the way he treats people, he said, I'm God, everybody's supposed to listen to me, blah, blah, blah. But there was something inside me that also knew like, no, 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 you're not.
Yeah.
So it was like there was something inside me like was fighting.
Mm.
Part of me that's saying, yes, he's my father. Yeah, he's amazing. He's great because he's my father, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But there was also something inside me like, why is he doing this? This is cruel. How can he treat people like this? And then
Mm.
when I was 16, I cannot even explain. I have no idea what happened. When I was 16, he was again yelling about something as he usually did. And I don't know, for whatever reason whatsoever, I stopped looking at him as my father. I
Mm.
looked at him as a man, just as a man. And in that moment, like, what is he talking about? Like, this is ridiculous what what's coming out of his mouth. This is crazy. What is he like? Is he mentally okay? Like, that was literally my reaction. And after that, my view of him changed and he realized that because I was like, anytime he was like, no. Like every time we're butting heads and I'm like, I don't care. And I kept fighting him and he would punch my mouth like he would think my mother was,
Wow.
and I'm thinking, oh, I'm not a young woman with my own mind. Okay, thank you. Like,
Yeah, that's a lot,
yeah,
and how many people may probably relate to what you
mhm,
went through and still, because of their, like understanding, like, yeah, this is my father or my mother,
mhm,
but who else is going to take care of them, you know,
mhm,
and
yeah,
for you to do that. So here we are, like you shared all this and thank you
mhm,
for being so vulnerable. Where are you now? Like, where is this? Where are you? Where do you plan on going? Because you say you're a healer. Is this
yeah.
something that somebody can connect with you on? What, who is Dusya today?
I consider myself a healer. I was studying medical sciences. but I switched to nuclear medicine. However,
Wait, what medicine? Sorry.
nuclear medicine.
Nuclear
Yeah.
medicine.
I it's my conviction, okay? People can debate me if they want, but it's my conviction that healing modalities, anti-healing modalities must go hand in hand with medicine. They must with modern medicine. They must. There's no way around it.
Mm.
Okay. Whatever whatever health issues you have, you cannot take away Reiki, shamanic, anything like that. You cannot. Like they have to go hand in hand. And I I generally speaking combine both fields. And I am open about. I used to be in the medical field. I'm not anymore. I'm not interested. I'm just done with how Western medicine does things. I'm done with it. I'm open about. I don't go into details unless people ask me, but I'm done with with modern medicine. However, I plan to complete my PhD in nuclear medicine. And honestly, I plan to be a healer for as long as I'm alive. That's my plan.
Mm.
I do not think I plan to teach in university unless they want me as a guest speaker. If they want to, that's fine. But I just want to write my books in sciences about my experiences and do things that aren't related to it. I mean, I'm a multifaceted person. But if people want to connect with me, they're happy. Please, they can. I'm on Facebook. I do have other social media, but that's gonna overwhelm people. So but like step by step, guys. But you can connect. You can definitely find me on Facebook. Yeah, that's no problem. I have a Facebook page. For all my healing session. Like I generally speaking do one-on-one healing session. I can do group sessions, but I do everything. I literally do everything remotely. And the thing is, I know a lot of people say I only want to do hands-on. That's fine. I respect that. But the thing is, with 18 healing modalities, you can do it wherever you are in the world. I can be in France, you can be in Portugal or
Yep.
in Australia. The energy is so strong. Even when you connect with somebody on Zoom, I experienced it so many times. Like seriously, one of my clients is in Canada, and when I connect with that shamanic priest, that was oh my gosh. And I'm still like this shamanic priest. I keep connecting with the shamanic priest, but because that shamanic energy wants to connect with me over and over again to teach me everything that I forgot or whatever. And you know, the universe, like I also think about the hermetic principles. We're all interconnected energetically. Like even if I'm not with you in the same room, I still appreciate looking at you because I love your friendliness, your disposition. Like I can feel your positivity. And the same thing, like when you do healing, you can do it remotely, and you feel instantly. And I
Mm.
had clients who had migraines. I had clients who had some sort of cancer, and I would heal them, and they would be like, "Wow, how did you know this? I never told you." Honestly, I'm as surprised as you are. Like every time when I'm doing something and I say, "Okay, this is what's happening," they say, "How do you know about that?" I'm being guided.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so powerful. Um, can you share a little bit more of what nuclear medicine is?
Sure. So the I'm trying to use the right words here. So the nuclear medicine that people know about, I guess that's the best way to put it, is knowledge about MRIs and things like that, and radiology. I am focusing. I love to go deeper. I don't go down the. I don't like going down the rabbit hole, but I love going as deep as possible in anything I'm doing. I'm like a combination of Columbo, Detective Columbo, and Dr. House as far as I'm concerned. But I'm going deep. So nuclear energy, I'm gonna go with fission. It's fission. FISSION. Energy is called.
Okay. Okay.
Because everybody is getting hung up on nuclear because nuclear weapons and all that stuff. No. We're not going there. No. There in nuclear energy, like there's the word thorium. 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 I hope I'm spelling it right.
Um,
Um, thorium is like the umbrella word for it, but it's thorium, and it's like this little salt. Like imagine a little a teaspoon of salt. Okay, one teeny tiny salt can be used for treatment, cancer treatment, and things like that.
okay.
You can use it for other things, but I am focusing on this little thorium, molten salt, which it's called, to use it for cancer treatment. And I already have
Okay.
like graphs and everything showing how it decreases the cancer in a person.
Interesting.
Graphs of it. All I have to do is now get it tested more in the laboratory and then have it tested on maybe 10 people. So I can say, okay, it works.
It works.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And like, correct
Mhm.
me if I'm wrong, because fission, you rarely hear that word, and that's such a science word, right? But fission is like separation, right, of particles or
Yeah. Yeah. Fission. Yeah. So,
so you're taking this like a salt
yep.
and you're using that
Hmm.
to see what it can heal.
Yes. Yes.
And question, so are you infusing your energy medicine, energy modalities into this salt when you're doing it?
I,
I'm just curious. This is very interesting. I'm like, wait, this is
I plan to. Yeah. I haven't done it, but I plan to. It's just that I used to be working laboratories when I was also mentoring students, but that was, I want to say 3 years ago, something like that. I'm not connected to laboratories in Boston anymore because whatever, because here's the thing. I can do the research here, but only to a degree. They're like, oh no, the FDA does not agree with blah blah blah. I'm like, that's fine, I respect that. But in Switzerland, where I do most of my work, I mean, I work my other things that I do, they are so open to it. Like as long as it's legal, they don't care. They don't even care if I'm trying the thorium on a cat. If it's legal, they will allow me. That's not a problem.
oh, this is incredible because you're like opening these doors to like a whole nother place and you're in Boston. So do you travel a lot to Switzerland to
Yeah.
stay with
So
this?
yeah, I am between Switzerland and USA, yes. And
Okay.
I want to fully permanently move to Switzerland. That's the plan. And I mean, Boston, I'm not sure I'm going to come back here unless there is a situation where maybe I have a client who's here. But otherwise, I have honestly I have very few clients in the United States, believe it or not. I mean, to me, I accept that because United States is Reiki is very markety. It's like, oh, if you sell this, I tried that honestly, but then I realized that's not who I am. I am so I realize I'm like an old soul, and I relate to ancient ways of doing it, and I kept thinking I wanted to do more like word of mouth. And I kept getting, that's who you are, Dusya, word of mouth, because you want to be authentic. And I prefer to do it authentically. And I want to connect. I have clients in Canada. I have clients, I talk to people in India. Like, it doesn't matter. I can just do healings on them. I can even just get a picture of them and I can tell them, like, okay, this is what I feel from your energy. And they're like, how did you know this?
Mm,
I know I scared them with that. I know that, and I'm trying to be very gentle about it. And seriously, I have a client in Vietnam actually, and I just told like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, and she was inconsolable, like she was crying her eyes out, and I know it's not professional to give you a hug, but I want to give you a hug because I do understand. And now she's like slowly recovering from it, like, oh my God, like nobody could ever read me like this.
mm.
Trust me, I have no idea how I do it. I just
You're that hollow bone. This is your gift. This is what you're meant to do. So those who are meant to come to you will come to you,
yeah.
which is incredible and profound. So for anyone who is listening to this, Ducey's information will be in the description below. And your work is profound. I mean, here you come from a line of medical, and here you're sharing like how you use your modality, which wow, thank you. Thank you for shining your light and finding yourself, right? So before we end, I do have another question. And So that question is, what is that one piece of wisdom you wish your younger self had known?
You know, I I mentioned this once in two of my interviews that I gave for something unrelated. And I'm going to give this to my audience. I'm going to give this to everybody here as well. Imagine you're a comedian in a comedy club, okay? And you're just talking about whatever. There's a crowd in front of you. On one side, there's a lot of like, boo, go away, you're not funny, blah, blah, blah. Then the others like, they're clapping because they're so amazed by your jokes. They never heard that joke before.
Mhm.
Focus on those who are applauding you. Because and same time in healing energy medicine, healing energy, I would say focus on the light. See where your passion is, follow your intuition, focus on anything that says, welcome, I like this, I'm amazed by this, follow that. Okay, ignore the ones who are booing you. They don't know what they don't know anything. Just like they don't know, they don't understand. But those who acknowledge you, those are the ones you should follow. And that's like following the light, literally. That's like following the light. Follow your passion, follow your heart. I prefer to follow my heart. I know my head, my mind, and my heart sometimes they're in an argument with each other. That happens. But I generally speaking, like, okay, my mind is not, can't think of what does my heart say. And I just lay my hand to my heart, I close my eyes, and I get my answer. So follow your heart, follow uh, follow everybody who's clapping.
Yeah.
That's right.
So beautiful. Thank you. And that is, I like we see it in your life, everything you shared with us in this episode of how you followed your intuition, how you
Mhm.
listened to your heart, how you even showed your compassion. It's so beautiful, Dusya. Um, anything else you want to leave with us that you would like to share?
Honestly, just follow your intuition, honestly. Your intuition is your best friend. I'm not joking, it's your best friend. It's like anytime you have a feeling, listen to your feeling honestly, because your intuition, you're born with it. We all are born with it. I know people say I don't know how to listen to it. You can learn, like there's so many ways. And for me personally, sometimes like when I when I don't trust myself because I'm exhausted or something I do is like I follow my how my body reacts. Like for example, let's say I chew test. There's a word called chew testing. And I do, okay, my name is Dusya. Yes, okay. My name is Angela. Okay. That means okay, that's not true. So whenever you one is okay, is my intuition right? Use that, like use your body. Like, how's your body respond when you say your name? How's your body respond when you lie? That's the takeaway.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for leaving that. That's amazing because you don't even think about that, right? Like, are you telling the truth? And just like listening to your body,
Mm-hmm.
just listening to your body. And you did share about the somatic, um,
Mm-hmm.
feeling somatic pain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now I'm like, oh wait, we're not dead yet. Can you share a little bit the somatic pain? Like what is somatic in your definition?
Somatic is something that happens in your body.
Mm,
So your brain, your whole body is made of energy, water, and all the other things, and it's
mm,
connected to the environment. In medical field for us, this is very basic knowledge. Environment versus genetics. Well, we forget that for some reason. But anyways, in the shamanic circles, besides there are certain principles, your body's connected to earth, water, sun, like we are all
mm,
connected. Yes. And so when your body is reacting to stress that's not normal, if you will, like when there's beyond like there's normal stress. And I had to learn this the hard way because my mother used to explain to me there's normal stress and there's not normal stress. I could not understand what she was talking about, honestly. Because with the stress that I grew up, for me, that was normal. Normal stress, like, oh, I have to get up at 7 a.m. or I have to be at work. How's my kid doing in school? How, like, that's normal stress. Not normal stress is when you're afraid that the person you live with is going to kill themselves, or like anything that's really traumatizing, when you're constantly around somebody who is abusive, or like anything that's like, oh my gosh, how can you live in that situation? I don't want to go into many ground, but any that affects your neurology,
Mm,
and your your body and your brain is trying to tell you this is not normal. This is not normal. And you're thinking, well, that's I was born to this, like it has to be normal to me, but your brain knows that this is not normal because your soul knows this is not normal. And
mm,
so you have pain then in different parts of your body, whether it's your leg or your arms or something, because your body is saying you have to get out of here. This is not safe. And so I've had it since I was a little child, because I witnessed my father's behavior since I before I could even understand what he was doing.
mm,
And although I was just observing, but my body was saying, "What is he doing? This is horrible. This is despicable." But for me, like, I don't know, he's my father. But like, yeah. And so my body was, even when anytime I had pain, it was my body saying, "Dusya, this is not normal. This is not okay. This is not. You should be safe." And my mom
mm.
know about this, which is fine. I respect that, because she knew a lot about medicine, but this is something that very few neurologists even nowadays talk about, because it's very rare. It's like happens once in a blue moon.
Mm.
Because honestly, you cannot even find you cannot even find on an MRI unless you're literally in the MRI when it happens. Otherwise, it's you can't discover it. I know that. I don't even know how I know that, but you can't find it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's that whole the phantom
Mhm.
feeling, right?
Exactly. And so what I generally
Mm.
suggest to people is that they have to rest. I know if you're cooking, of course, finish your cooking, but you must rest. That's non-negotiable. I did with myself. It saved me a tons of headaches. Tons of, like, seriously.
Rest. You guys rest. There's a whole another lesson from Dusya. You're just wow, thank you for explaining that so clearly. Because right now it's like you're my teacher and I'm learning too. And it's like, oh, like another light bulb, maybe I've heard it before, but then to be um come across it again and hearing it again, you understand it from a deeper sense. So
Mhm.
you just shared so much in here. And thank you again for sharing your story and being open and vulnerable in your experience, which is a lot. And then to show up here in this space to enlighten us with the truth that's already within us, which is
Mhm.
the beauty of it all. It's already within us and we ignore it. And yeah, I was gonna go into a whole nother, can of worms, probably down the rabbit hole. But for those of you guys who are listening to this, thank you for being here. And if you want to connect with Dusya, her information will be in the description below. And you know, trust your intuition, like she said, and rest, and
Yeah.
rest. And so, beautiful souls, thank you again for being with us. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep walking your sacred path, and keep writing your sacred her story. For she is sacred her, sacred, highly exalted rebel. It's saying yes to our own inner wisdom and trusting in our own inner wisdom. And Ducia, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your unique journey, your truth, and your love and your sacredness. Thank you.
Thank you too.